We are certainly rejoicing to be back to our first indoor service since the arrival of COVID. It has been, as you might say, wandering in the wilderness for a year and 3 months. Thanks to all the people who have kept the spirit alive with Zoom, YouTube, and the outdoor service. A lot of people have been involved in making this work. And you all have been involved. Like I've always said, it's a clock with many cogs and everybody has a piece in it. And when that piece doesn't work, it doesn't work quite as well. The time is off. But I've seen so many people pitch in and work. And, you know, look in a mirror, that's you. So thank you very much. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Columbus. We are an inclusive spiritual community of people who support each other in their personal searches for truth and meaning. I am Hal Midgette, your volunteer service leader and president of the fellowship board. I'm also the gardener. Today, most of the tech people who normally make a service sound and look right are not here, but are on a well-earned vacation or celebrating graduations. Elise Leonard agreed to assist me with trying to get the service to our Zoom land audience. And thank you, Elise. Okay, she did this back there. You can't see her, but she was, okay. If all goes right, they will see and hear us and are limited to using Zoom online chat function to communicate with us. And Elise will have to read their comments. You see 2 microphones. One is for Zoomland, one's on me for Zoomland, and then this one works the house. So just so you understand, it hasn't all been perfect because the tech people haven't been here. So with Elise's help in mind, we've hopefully get this together. Are there any guests here, please? If we have a first-time visitor today, or those who have only been with us on Zoom, we're happy to have you join us today. Please sign our guest book on the front wall beneath the bulletin board before you leave. There are also visitor information packets for you to take. And if you have a chance, I'd like to see if there's anybody new. We have some people who have only been here on Zoom, and it's nice to see them here. And we have Goldie. And thank you for coming. This is great. I've never seen you in person, so this is wonderful. Okay, it's time for, as I go through, it's time for announcements. First, we are cautiously reopening with baby steps. Adult RE, child RE, child care are temporarily suspended. So we're gradually opening. The Wednesday night discussion group will meet at 7 p.m. in the meeting house. The topic will be when pacifism and the military intersect. That should be interesting. The UU Women's Book Club will meet at 2 p.m. this coming Tuesday in the meeting house to discuss The Leavers by Lisa Coe. The Friday lunch group will continue to meet at 12:30 p.m. by Zoom. The Zoom link is the same one we've been using and will be provided again for any newcomers. They're discussing if they're going to go in person and meet in a restaurant. Next Sunday, John Nix will present a Memorial Day program, and I can't wait to hear his trombone again. So that has always been delightful. This month, all donations to the mountain will be matched. So if you're making a donation to the mountain, this is a perfect time to do it. We start our services by lighting the chalice, a symbol to us of reason, tolerance, freedom, justice, compassion, and love. It has been 3 years since I've lit the chalice. Thank you very much, Thomas. Now let us affirm the 7 principles that sum up the core values of Unitarian Universalism. Please read them aloud with me. In a second, please. Our 7 principles. The first principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. and compassion in human relations, acceptance of one another, and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregation. Number 4, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. 5, conscience and the use of democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. 6, the goal of world community with liberty and justice for all. And 7, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. The celebration of life toast is unique to this fellowship and is not a sacrament, but simply a warm tradition. And we invite you to share it with us. Today, we'll continue to use imaginary cups filled with your personal imaginary beverage. This toast was written by our very own Ed Wilson. So thank you, Ed. We celebrate life with its beauty and its pain. We lift these cups in tribute to the achievements of human minds and hands, and in sensitivity to the frustrations of misfortune and heartache, not fixing blame or credit for the outcome of chance, sensing the risk, savoring the joy, sharing it all, knowing of the certainty of death, and remembering the value of each moment. We drink our toast of celebration to this time, to the future, to each other, to the throbbing of the earth and seas and skies with life. Together, we drink this toast in celebration of life. Thank you. The morning's offering will now be given and received in the spirit of grateful fellowship. You can mail offerings to UUFC at P.O. Box 698, Fortson, Georgia, 31808, or use PayPal. Hit send money and put as recipient our email address, uufcga@gmail.com. While you look for your checkbook or sign into PayPal, Whitaker and Thomas will play for us Wherever You Walk by George Frederick Handel. Yeah, I think so.
Just want to do the slideshow presentation.
I was just trying to block on the screen. Thank you very much, Whitaker and Thomas. That was terrific. Our reading today is number 442 in your hymnal. I say again, it's 442 in your hymnal. We bid you welcome. I will read the first regular type and you will read the italicized verses. Again, that is reading 442 in the back of your hymnal. We bid you welcome. We bid you welcome who come with weary spirits seeking rest. Come with troubles that are too much for you. Come with burden. We bid you welcome who come with hope in your heart. We bid you welcome who are seekers of a new faith. We bid you welcome who enter this hall as a homecoming. Whoever you are, whatever you are, wherever you are on your journey. Thank you. And now for today's talk. The mountain is a scenic and peaceful UU retreat in the Highlands, North Carolina. And this is what the talk is going to be about. Let me first start with how I know these individuals who are presenting, and then I will give their biographies. But first, Barry and I, we've hiked to the hike-in in the southern part of the Appalachians and spent the night. We talked all the way in and out. We went on a bike ride here in Columbus along the Fall Line Trace and saw a Black Panther cross in front of us. That's hard to believe, but it's true. He helped me when I first came into UU. He said things that made me welcome. John Kamisky, I asked him for a bio and he said some outrageous stuff. I know John for years. We played tennis together. He's a tremendous man. He told me stories about going up the Amazon and other things. Let me get to their bios. After returning to Columbus, Georgia from Duke Graduate School in 1974 to start a physical therapy career, Barry decided to attend a UU congregation. He found that a previous UU fellowship based on a military corps had disbanded. Barry, born and raised as a Methodist, knew nothing about starting a UUF. But through the UUA, he identified two other folks in the Columbus area who were interested in forming a Columbus UU fellowship. So in 1975, he and his wife, Pam, hosted the first group of people interested in learning about UU and forming a UUF in his apartment living room, which is attended by about 20 people. 4 attendees, the first of many meetings, were Ed and Sydney Wilson, who were dating at that time, Linda Bass and Gerda Tarkington. In 1979, the UU leadership identified a camp for children and called for contributions to buy the 80-acre mountain property near Highlands, North Carolina. Barry made a contribution, and along with thousands of other Southern UUs, the camp was purchased. Barry did not ever visit the camp until 2004, but as he was retiring, he has since spent many weeks at programs on personal retreats and as a volunteer. Barry moved to be closer to his daughter in Cary, North Carolina, but continues to enjoy attending programs, hosting programs, and working as a volunteer. He finds a renewal each and every time he visits the mountain and wants to share the joy of being at the mountain with you. He literally desires you to move to the mountain, to visit soon. Thank you, Barry, for traveling all this distance to share this with us and coming back home. John was born in Nyack, New York, and raised a Roman Catholic, which included a stint as an altar boy. That's hard to believe, John. He attended St. Michael's College, Vermont, and New York University, obtaining graduate and undergraduate degrees in engineering. Later in 1971, he earned a master's and an MS in transportation from the University of South Carolina. He has traveled the world, amazed me about travels up the Amazon and riding a horse around an active volcano in Central America. He has worked as an aeronautical engineer, a civil engineer, an Air Force veteran, and has been a successful entrepreneur. He first visited Callaway and Pine Mountain in 1967 and then moved to Pine Mountain in 2003. He is active in Habitat for Humanity, Pine Mountain Trail Association, and a volunteer fireman for 22 years. He is an avid reader and loves his greenhouse. For decades, he was an avid wily and very competitive tennis player, I assure you that. But now has switched his competitiveness and wiliness to a new passion, paddleball. That's right, it's pickleball. I should know. Pickleball. He considers himself to be a Socinian socialist. Look it up. All right. John and Barry, if you'll come up, we'll start your presentation. You got it? Got what you need?
So you all can see me. Thank you, Hal. I don't know where you got all that information. Some of it's true, some of it's false, some of it's hilarious. Good morning. I see out there nothing but stars, all right? And this is a metaphor. My name is John Kamisky. Barry and I will try to introduce you to the Mountain Retreat and Learning Center. Barry and I just got back from there after 3 or 4 days doing various tasks. It was a good experience for us. It's always been a good experience for us. Let's have a metaphor. I like to think of all of us, including myself, as precious gems or exotic minerals. We all have the capacity to shine and contribute delight to ourselves and to others. And truly, I know there are true gems out there. I see you all. I've known you for, most of you for several years. Some of us have more vibrant colors than others. Some of us from the outside look a little like pale stones. But I believe that when chiseled down or broken open, we are all lodestones inside. I'm only going to mention two or three people, right, as the stars here. And we're in Grace Hall. Grace Jordan, and there's a lot of history that goes with this UU Columbus. But this is called Grace Hall, not because it's Grace, but because it was the first name of a major contributor to our group here, or to our congregation. Well, let's go this way. Recently, President Biden awarded a Medal of Honor, and we mentioned it before, John mentioned it, a medal to Ralph Puckett Jr. for valor during one of our many wars. Colonel Puckett attended services here previously, and I think I met him once or twice at UU Columbus. And it's an honor that we had him visiting us or staying with us at one time. To name two others who are here today, it is an honor to, it is an honor at all times to meet all of you. But I just want to mention Whitaker and Thomas, as our just wonderful stars. They light up the opal with many misty colors that we see. The other person I'd like to just one more is my best friend, who's like an enhanced emerald with many, many faceted green colors. And Hal mentioned that I am a Socinian socialist and a person who leans toward a Mennonite philosophy of anti-war and pacifism, which I should like to have. And I'd like to have more awards like the president did to Colonel Plunkett. They're wonderful. But in addition, we need more awards to science and to philosophy, people in academics. These are the people that are move our group, our culture into what we firmly believe in, which is behind me. One of the places that is near where the first discovery of gold was in the United States, near Dahlonega, is the mountain. It's a little scaly mountain. It's a depository of special gems that can be distributed over several principles of peace, liberty, and justice. These are the gems that we can develop and move with. And when when Barry comes up and tells you about the campus, which we have up there in North Carolina, I think you'd be very much impressed. Barry and I have different agendas up at the mountain. Barry is more of an environmentalist and a hiker, and I tend to enjoy the group learning and training opportunities provided each year. I would like to add that all the facilities up there are handicap facilities. You can get to almost any place you want using on wheelchair. And they have provided, there are provisions for 2 or 3 motorized electric chairs that we have, motorized wheelchairs that are up there. This year, the mountain will sponsor several group meetings, as seen in the visual aid, which hopefully will come up. No, it didn't. But didn't want all this to go. Sorry. Yeah. Now you can go through. All right. These are some of the programs that are going on this year and also next year. And I've attended some of these during the past years. One of them was Music Week, in which Barry thinks this is a banjo, but it's not. This is an amigo, and we all made this, and it's a 1-string instrument. And pardon me, Whitaker, but it does play a tune. I mean, you can play different tunes on it, and with a group on that, we enjoyed it. But during that particular week, they had concerts and they had music auditions, and it was a wonderful week for me. So that's one during the music week, and they are going to have a music week in August. There's a visual arts week in August 19th to the 25th. There's a UU Woman Spirit Week, October. There's what they call UUFC, Southern Unitarian Universalist Fall Institute. And I wasn't aware of this, but there's a University of Western Carolina, Western North Carolina. The Unitarians meet there in October, I guess the week after that, I think, after the October 10th and 15th. And it's a large group from all over the Southeast coming and meet there. We are a community. And, I look out here and we are growing, we are moving slowly, but we need that jump up. And I think if we associate ourselves or piggyback ourselves with some other UU and find out what other UUs are doing, I think we'd be more of a community. So we have the Music Week coming up. There's also, which is not shown on here, it says the Mountain Retreat, Found Object Sculpture and Clean, PLEIN, which I don't know what that is, air painting. But that's on August 20th and 26th. But there are many reasons to visit the mountain. And I'd like to still stay with it. There's Easter work weekend, Memorial Day homecoming celebration. There's a youth conference. There's a gay spirit visions. UU Workham Spirit, and Music Week. During this summer, this is last summer they didn't have it, but during the summer, they have a children's camp up there, and we're going to have it for 6 weeks this week. By the way, if anyone knows of they're in need of a Red Cross lifeguard. So if anyone knows of someone, a young man or a lady that's qualified, they're in need of that. So with that, I would like to introduce Barry White to tell you about the facilities in the Mountain Campus. Barry?
Thank you. And I'd just like to thank John and his best friend Joe for hosting me there at their lake house. Beautiful place to go. And I wonder why in the world it goes 4 hours up to the mountain when he has just a beautiful place where he lives. And again, he's just told you some of the reasons. Well, I go there to get renewed, and I go there to do service. I think personally, a summer camp for children is so important. I was fortunate to go to summer camps, and this is the purpose, the primary purpose for this purchase was to purchase a place for children to spend quality time during the summer in a safe, nurturing environment. I know 2 children from our UU fellowship who have attended. One many years ago was Sean Tarkington Woods. Another, I think, Connie Usry's granddaughter attended. I don't know of other children, but to me, the purpose of the mountain primarily is for children's summer camp. However, as been listed here, there are other things going on there. And what I use it for are personal retreats. I don't attend that many of these retreats. I attended the total eclipse retreat they had when we had that going on. The mountain was located right where you had 100% eclipse, and they had a week-long lead up to that. And another I've gone to is the climate justice. If you're interested in preserving our environment, then I highly recommend going up and celebrating the environment that we have and going to some of these programs. The mountain is now using solar panels to use some of the electricity. That's environmentally friendly. The food is grown at the foot of the mountain now. Their garden is producing enough not only for the mountain, but now they have 2 of those farmers markets, one in Highlands on Wednesday and one on nearby Cashiers on Saturday. So they're growing enough, and they actually have a certified forager, and he goes and forages mushrooms. And I don't know if you've heard of chanterelles, but that's one of the most delicious, most expensive mushroom you can buy. And he harvests those in several locations. And that's the director of the farm there. And I only have a few minutes to talk, and we spent quite a bit of time trying to get some slides. And I don't know any way to go but back through what you've already seen. And I feel like that you are actually the choir that I'm talking to, because I realized I look out that many of you have been there. But can I just, and I'd actually like to name the ones who have been there that I know of. I know that Pat and John Hart have been there. I know that Bill Edwards has been there. I know that Norman and Janet Horofker, before he took it into ministry and left to go back to Canada, he and his wife went there. I know that Dixie and Bill Turman went there. I know that Connie and Ron Ursary went there. I knew that Mark Berger was there. I knew that Michelle and Hal have been there. I know Chris and John Nix have been there. I know John Kamisky continues to go there. I know Julie Bouchard went there. I know that Elaine Chambliss went there. Is there anybody that I've missed that's in the audience that's been there? Well, you who've not been there, you need to go. And if you've got grandchildren, you need to think about quality things they can do there and be nourished to be their own person. And again, what makes this mountain majestic? For me, it's a place of renewal. When I lived here in Columbus, it'd be 90 degrees here. It'd be 90% humidity. I'd drive just 4 hours. In the first 3.5 hours, it would be over, interstate kind of highways, 4-lane highways. But for the last 30 minutes going 10 miles, it was like going up a snake's back. And you just climb the entire time to 4,200 feet. And it's the most refreshing 70-degree weather, a breeze. And we mentioned at the very first slide that this is a windswept ancient oak forest at this altitude. And when you say windswept, you're thinking, well, the breeze blows and the trees blow this way, and then they blow that way, and then they blow this way, and they blow this way. Not at the mountain. They blow this way. It's the most amazing thing. And I actually took a video, but I couldn't get it into our presentation with it. When I sat there and took that video, I was just marveled at how those trees didn't fall down. But these trees are ancient. They're 250, 300 years old, some of these trees, and maybe even older. So at any rate, I highly encourage you personally to go on personal retreats. But again, know the purpose primarily was for summer camp for children, but that's only June through July. My wife and I have been on personal retreats. We've been there during weddings, and they allow you to come up there. I've been there on personal retreats during the children's camp. Some of the most beautiful flower seasons, it's during the camp. And you enjoy it being there so much because it's so different. It's like going to a different world. So at any rate, I highly recommend, if you have not been there and experienced the mountain, it's 4 hours from here. Actually, we can do it in 3 hours and 45 minutes. However, and I'm trying to get back to, all right, it's 4 hours from here. I moved from here in Georgia to Cary, North Carolina. I'm 6 hours away. That RDU up there where it says Savannah Low Country, I'm an RDU, that's Raleigh-Durham Airport essentially, but I live within 2 miles of that airport. So now I have to drive 6 hours, and the road I drive is during the mountains about 2 hours of the mountains up and down and snaking around. So now I have 2 hours of that drive where you would only have 30 minutes of that drive. Again, this is the core. This is called the tree house. The bottom floor is recreation. It's for crafts. The upper floor, and I have a better slide in a minute, is a ballroom, essentially. It's a utility room. They can have yoga masters come and teach yoga. You can dance there. I was a dancer, ballroom dancer. I tried to get us to go up there. But at the summit of the mountain, we have the office, we have the dining hall. And again, they're banners that are Unitarian banners, our principles. Although anybody can go there, a Baptist, an atheist, anybody who wants to go there can go there. Again, the upper floor is, again, that room, and that's the room on the left. The fire ring is out and back of the tree house and the rec room, or the activities building, you could call it. And further down on the edge of the mountain, on the non-precipice side, is the amphitheater. The cabins are on Ring Road, and it's right along the precipice. So if you're in the lodge or you're in a cabin, you're sitting out looking over hundreds of miles of foothills, and you can actually see Greenville, South Carolina on a clear day. And I think I've seen Stowe Mountain on occasions. This is a picture of the back of the lodge before I power washed all the decking here. It was such that it had developed such a film on it from being outdoors that it was actually slick when it got wet. And I know I slipped a couple times. So I spent a whole 2 weeks up there power washing with something that looked like a buffer every deck I could get to. And now it's holding up. That was a year ago, and it looks wonderful. And this is on the deck at the lodge looking out after a rain. And that's what you'll see after a rain. Those trees have been trimmed and cut down, so you have a much better view now. And John and I appreciate that. The director, who is now departed, they released the director during the pandemic because of the needs, but they took his house and they created what they call the Cliff Haven. And if you walk in his front door, go down, you have this great room that has a full kitchen, dining room, and a great room here. And then on the right is Emerson. And one of the things I did as a volunteer, I took up these tiles like we have on our floor here, and I took away the baseboards, and they came in with somebody who knew how to do carpentry that put in a laminate wooden floor, and it's beautiful. Emerson, I've stayed there several times. Full kitchen, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths. This is the tower. Sean Tarkington and some of you others may be here. And I have laid up there at night on our backs at the top of the tower on a clear night, seen space stations go by. We've seen planes galore go by, but we've seen meteorites. We've seen every star you can imagine. We've seen the galaxy. If you knew anything, or the Milky Way, if you know anything about stars and want to see stars, you go and get on that tower on a clear night. It's amazing. And then the connection of all these buildings on the summit is by this boardwalk. And John and I had the joy of scraping, sanding, priming, and painting every rail, not wooden rail, but there are metal rails up there at the base. And these slides don't do justice. They have a farm that's improving every year, and the director there is so dynamic. I've been on a scavenger tour with him, tagged along as a volunteer. One of my times off I spent with him as he led people around identifying edible plants, mini mushrooms. But they have a greenhouse, they have a chicken coop, they have a tremendous garden now, and they have a food forest they're developing. It's amazing what they're doing and under his dynamic leadership. And they also were known as a pollinator. Everything they have, they don't use insecticides. They don't use any kind of pesticides. So their bees love being there, and they have beehives now. At the bottom of the mountain, we have a lake, and that's what we're looking for now, is somebody that's certified through the Red Cross, being lifesaver, that can monitor the lake. But they teach paddling skills with kayaks and canoes. They have a floating dock, and the kids love playing in the lake during the summer camp. And this is time out for me, so I'm going to try to wrap this up. They have a crafts barn and a huge field. They teach archery, and there's plenty of time to play pickleball, frisbee, etc. And then between the base and the mountain is a labyrinth for meditation, low ropes course for the kids, memorial walk, and then they have trails. One of my jobs as a volunteer is trimming the trails so the trails don't come up, the growth on the sides of the trails don't come over and brush against you as you walk down the beautiful trail that connects all this stuff. And then the memorial gardens, this is where my ashes will be spread. This is, you know of heaven and hell. To me, this is close to heaven as I get when I'm at the mountain because of the climate and the family. Like being here right now, I feel closer to heaven, and being up there is closest to heaven that I'm going to get on earth. And again, to me, that's where my ashes will go. Maybe Hal let me put a few in the garden back here as well, because I love you folks. And when I'm here, I'm in heaven. You are my soul family. The dining hall, they're now putting in ceiling tiles that are supposed to help the sound reduction. But if you go in there, it's impossible if you have a hearing problem like I do to carry on the conversation. But the summer camp is what it's all about as far as why it was initially purchased. Meditation rock, nearby attractions. This doesn't do it any justice at all. Highlands is a tourist town. Shops galore, nature museums, art museums. And Cashiers is not developed as a tourist attraction, but it's got this mountain called, I think it's called Rocky Top Mountain, and you can see, 150 miles. It's amazing. I've taken Pam up there and we just totally enjoyed it. Area attractions, Whitesides Mountain. That's one of the attractions the tourist town had beside the town itself was Whiteside Mountain. They have a tram trail they developed years ago that now has gone back to as natural as it can be. But you can see evidence as you walk up this trail where they blasted outside the mountain to develop that trail. And they actually had a horse-drawn carriage at one time. You can see some of the people you know from our fellowship at the Dry Falls. The one on the right is a canyon falls that I found just in the last year. It's a real easy 4-mile hike in, and it is well worth the hike. Again, rafting, one of the things I do when I go up to the mountain used to be whitewater rafting, whitewater kayaking on the Chattooga River. Deliverance, that's where that was filmed, on the Chattooga River, one of the areas that you can go. Hiking, of course, adventures. There's rappelling, there's zip lining, everything you want. There's fishing, trout fishing around. And again, I'm going to just show a few pictures. I named some people, but just this is a few pictures. And I think some of those were taken by John Nick, some by myself. You see John and Chris, my wife, and of course, Mark Berger, who told me when I was on a trail and when I was off the trail. He had occasionally tell me, Barry, this is not a trail. And he was right. Julie Bouchard enjoyed being up there. And again, you just a little bit relax and hang loose, as you can see when you're up there. That's in the great room near the fireplace, looking away from the precipice in the Blue Valley, which is below. This is, again, Chris, Mark, and John and my wife on the edge of Whiteside Mountain, which is, again, the tourist place. It's got about a half-mile long precipice. It just is just absolutely breathtaking. This is us getting the girls into my SUV when I had it, and they were in the back like that. We shut that down. We rode, Mark and John and I rode over to Glen Falls, which is about 3 miles away, and we hiked back from there to the mountain. You can go right back to the mountain campus, and we ate lunch, and then we later took another car and got my car. But it just, that's the best hike that I've ever been on. It's just so easy to access. Again, there's relaxation. There's Hal and myself enjoying Hal's gin and tonic on Meditation Rock. That's overlooking Blue Valley. Fabulous. This is the left is, again, Michelle, my wife Pam, and myself leaning over the rail, looking over Blue Valley. And of course, John started, I think, got his trombone out for one of the first times in years and started practicing. We just loved it. And it gave him the confidence to start sharing with you, I think. But, you know, it's just sharing your talents. This is me. I used to work in the kitchen, scrubbing pots and pans. I did that for, you know, several meals, and I'd come out and someone, after I'd been going for 10 years, someone came out and showed me monkey face. This is the most amusing, amazing view you can see, but it was so exhilarating after been in the kitchen all day, feeling the wind coming up, and it's so cool. And, you know, I was just so excited to be out of the kitchen. And then, of course, there's John on a hike to Secret Falls. Everybody who's been here has helped me find hikes that seniors can do. So y'all have really helped me find these places. At any rate, how can you get involved? You can be a member, $50 a year. You can be a member and help, and you can actually vote on the board. You can be a mountain mover. That's what I am. I try to move people to the mountain, not move the mountain, but move you to the mountain. And you really need to try it out. And then again, you can go online. I won't go through this anymore, but you can go online and you can look just the mountain, L Learning RC Retreat Center. Look for it. What we're doing now is trying to raise money. There's a 50,000 matching. And if you put $1 in a bucket today, it'll be $2. And you can see there right now currently, well, that's not really current. They're at about $50,000 so far matched. So they need another $25,000 or so to get up to where they want to be as far as $100,000. They need money, everybody does, but this is a Unitarian cause. And then another way you can support it is by going up there. All right, so these are the ways you can look at the mountain, but just if there's got videos and everything, and at this point, I am going to stop. Thank you for your attention. Again, I feel like I've been preaching to the choir, but hopefully you can enjoy the investment they made back in 1979. It's a wonderful place on this earth. Thank you. We have handouts. We have handouts. Hopefully you'd like, and it has a lot of this about how to get involved. Oh.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Barry. You brought back great memories. I might add, when you go hiking with Barry and he says he's going slow, watch out. He can really hike. We have time now. We have time for some questions and answers. And thanks so much. You drove so far for this. And I think you're going to have people coming up there. He did not, or maybe I just didn't hear it. The food there is fantastic. It's a really good dining facility. I really enjoyed it anyway. It was all fresh. So are you willing for some questions and answers? Okay, questions we have, answers perhaps. So please.
Yes, Tomato Man.
Are there any educational activities there for somebody who wants to know more about UU?
I would believe so. You can go online. And again, if you go online, you can see the programs coming up. And if you don't like what you see, you'll see a phone number. You call and you tell them you want a program on the UU principles. They are very open. Personally, I have learned about the Highlands Cashiers Land Trust. And part of the mountain now is part of that land trust, which means you cannot use it for any development. And they just recently took their tool shed and tore it down, but they couldn't build anything but that tool shed back. So at any rate, I go up because of that land trust. Did you know we had an elk preserve in North Carolina? That's one of the eco tours they have. And I just named just a few eco tours real quick. Wildflowers, when the wildflowers are really blooming in late May, early June, they have an interpretive hike that's eco tour by the Land Trust. They took an eco tour to the elk preserve, hike on the Chattooga River along the same trail that some of you went with me on, but going at a different direction, so it's not as rough. A geology tour. Highlands is an unusual place. It's a plateau, and this geologist told us why it's a plateau. And they showed us waterfalls. We visited 4 waterfalls, and we found out geologically why they're different. One of them is about the magma that never came through the crust of the earth. And now over erosion, the magma got into a more hard rock, caused some of the waterfalls that didn't erode, so it just fell into where it could erode. So at any rate, geology tour was fascinating. Went along the White Falls River, which goes into Lake Jocassee. That was just an hour drive from our area. And it was incredible because it was during the highest blooming time of trillium. I don't know if you know about trillium, but I learned that there are more than one kind of trillium on that. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful hike. And it was led by a doctor in biology, Dr. Gary Wine, who's the director of the Land Trust. I've been to the Highlands Museum, and they have a wonderful nature walk in the back. It's just fascinating. I've been on the Kelsey Trail Heritage Hike, which is the first trail that went from Highlands downtown to Whiteside Mountain. And I actually went up to Whiteside Mountain and hiked down to Highlands. But at any rate, I learned a lot about the city. I learned where to eat. I learned where the bars are. It's, I just love the area.
Any more questions? Okay, then. Thank you very much, Barry. Thanks so much. We extinguish the chalice here that it might glow gently in our hearts. May it light your path as you leave this place. Would everyone please rise in body or spirit for the closing words? With unity of spirit, we go our ways in universal fellowship until we meet again. Thank you.